Bonus point if anybody can name the band / lead singer and name of song. All right, that's enough of that. Okay, so here we go, friends. Let's get started with Unit 16, Triangle Congruence. Move this along. All right, let's see here. Can we zoom in? There we go. First of all, let's start with talking about what congruence means. If we remember, congruence means same size and same shape, especially, well, with triangles, same size and same shape. So we'll write that in. Size and shape. And this means then that all corresponding parts, angles, sides, are congruent. So in one triangle, if one triangle is congruent to another triangle, like down here, okay, there are sides that match up, called corresponding sides. So their corresponding sides would all be the same, and their corresponding angles would all be the same. So what matters is how we write the congruency statement. So the congruency statement is this right here, where it says triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. Okay? So it matters the order that you write those letters, because that determines the sides and angles that match up. For example, in this one, you have A to B to C. Okay? And then the other one, D to E to F. So angle A should match up with angle D because those are written first. Angle B should match up with angle E because those are written second. And angle C should match up with angle F because those are written last. And notice the sides between them, like B to C is the same as E to F. A to B is the same as D to E. So A to B, D to E, A to C, D to F, B to C, E to F. Those are all the matching sides and angles. So the way it's written, or this congruency statement, is extremely important. Okay. So this next statement here, CPCTC, okay, what does that mean? Well, the first C means corresponding. Okay. The second one is parts. So we're talking about like sides or angles. So corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. So that's kind of what we mentioned up here earlier, that in your congruency statement, that means that all the sides, or the sides that match up, called corresponding sides, all those are congruent one to another, and the angles that match up are all congruent to each other. So that's what CPCTC means. Okay, so if we're talking about corresponding parts, that's CPCTC. So first of all, if we know that two triangles are congruent, then we know that every pair of corresponding parts is also congruent. Okay, so that's an important piece of information, especially when we get into our proofs and validating what we write down. Okay, well, let's go through an example here. So we're just going to list, in example 1, we're going to list all the angles that are congruent and the sides that are congruent. So the statement is triangle JKL is congruent to triangle PQR. So if you want to draw it yourself, you could draw it yourself. Just draw two triangles and label them. And see how that goes. Let's see. So let's start with J. Angle J and angle P. So angle J since it's written first with angle P. So they are congruent. Okay, a little congruent sign. The next one is K, and the next one on the other one is Q. So angle K would be congruent to angle Q. And then the last one is L and R. So angle L would be congruent to angle R. Okay, now to sides. Since it was written JKL, PQR, we're going to go JK. So side JK would be a segment because it's a side. That would be congruent to, let's see, next one is PQ, JK, PQ. Those match up. The next one will go KL. So if I say KL from the first triangle, then I've got to go QR in the second triangle. All right, and then the last one that I haven't done is from J to L. So J to L would match up with P to R. So J to L would be congruent with P to R. All right. Let's go to example 2 and match these up. So it tells us that KPM is congruent to AYC. So I'm going to mark that on the actual figure. KPM and AYC. So KP would match with AY. So I'm going to mark those with 1 mark to indicate that those two are the same. And then if I go PM from the first one, that would match with YC on the second one. So PM, I'll do 2 marks, and YC. Okay? And then the last one, K to M, would match with A to C. So K to M, and since it's the last one left, we could assume that those would be the third side. Okay, so now we have those matching up. All right, so if we needed to match up angles, we could say, oh, all right, well, between the 1 and the 3 marked sides here, between KP and KM, you have angle K. So that would match up with A. All right, notice it's in the statement, K with A. And then P would mark or match up with Y, P and Y, and M and C. Okay, from the statement and how it was drawn and with our marked sides, that should work out. So let's see. Given that those two are congruent, it says, complete each of the following statements. I'm just going to do this bottom statement here. I'm not sure what these other little lines are, but let's just do this statement right here. So if we wrote it as MPK, so from M to P to K, how would we have to write the other one? Well, M is between the marked 3 and the marked 2 side. So M matches up with C. So that's where I'm going to have to start on the other one. So MPK would go C, let's see, along the 2 side, down the 1 side. C to Y to A. So that would have to be triangle CYA. Now, if we rewrote the other one, let's say we wrote it as triangle YAC, how would we have to match up those letters in the other triangle? So if we started at Y, that means we'd have to start at P on the other one. So triangle P, let's see, Y to A to C. So P, Y to A goes down the 1 mark. So from P to K, we go down the 1 mark. So P to K to M would be how we'd have to label the other one. So these would be our congruency statements. Okay? According to how we wrote the first one, this is how we'd have to write the second one. And how this one was written originally, this is how we'd have to write the second one. We have to match it up. All right, let's see here. We got example 3. Let's see what we can do. All right, here we go. Example 3. It says triangle DEF and triangle JKL. So here's what I do. On any of these, okay, I draw my own figure. Now, my figure, it may not be to scale. It may not look right, but I'm just going to draw two triangles. I don't care what they look like. And I'm just going to match them up and just say, okay, these two triangles are the same because it told me D, E, F, and J, K, L are congruent. So I'm just going to draw two simple triangles, not worrying about what they look like or how the angles match up or anything. But I'm just going to mark all this information, and then I can know how to set up the equations here. So once I draw my two triangles, got them marked correctly, then I just label the information. So from D to E, it's 18. So I'm going to mark 18 right there. And then E to F is 23. So I'm going to mark that 23. And then from D to F is 9x minus 23. So I'm going to write that where DF is, 9x minus 23. Okay, so there's those three sides. Now, it also gives me J to L is 7x minus 11. So from J to L, 7x minus 11. And J to K is 3y minus 21. So this is 3y minus 21. Okay, so take a look at that, how I marked it. And make sure yours is marked like mine. If I can get that over there for you. Not that matters, zooming, but. Okay, now looking at the two triangles, it wants us to find x and y. Well, what is equal to what? Well, 18, this side, DE is equal to this side. 23 EF is equal to KL. Don't necessarily need that. These two, DF, those are the corresponding sides, so those match up. So let's start with that one. I can say that 9x minus 23 is equal to 7x minus 11. Because those two sides are corresponding and the two triangles are congruent, so those two values, those two expressions, have to be equal to each other. So then if I solve, I would subtract 7x. That will leave me 2x minus 23 equals negative 11. And then I'm going to add 23. So that's going to give me, let's see, I'll go this way. 2x would equal, what, 12? Divide by 2, so x would equal 6. Okay, and that's one of them. Now the other one, where y is, that side matches up with 18. So I can just say that 3y minus 21, oh, sorry. So 3y minus 21 is going to equal 18. Now let's write it down. 3y minus 21 equals 18. So add 21. So 3y is going to equal 18 plus 1 is 19. 19 plus 20 is 39. Then divide by 3. So y is going to equal, what, 13. Okay. So that's how we set up the triangles and then solve. Okay, match up the corresponding parts, draw the figure, match up the parts, see what's equal to what, set up your equations. Okay, let's see what we got here. So let's go through assignment 16.1 and just look and see what we're doing here. So first of all, you're just completing the statement, like what is congruent to what? So Km, where would that match up with? All right, I would go through the figure and mark sides. Okay, mark the sides. And to mark angles, you use little marks like angle K would match with the angle A. So I would mark angle K with angle A with one mark. And then the next one, angle P, would match with angle Y. So I'm going to do 2 marks with that one. And then the third one would be A and M. And I'll just do M and C. And I just do 3 marks with those. That's the angles. Okay, sides you can mark. You've seen me mark the other sides on the on the notes. Okay, let's see here. Find the missing measure. Well, you know, all 3, if this comes into play, all 3 angles in a triangle add up to be 180. So, you know, if this is 67, find out what matches with N, fill it in, find out by 180 minus those what the third one is, and you can have all of them. Okay, try that out. If you need to, you can pause and repeat what I'm telling you here. So that's the beauty, I guess, of the video. Number 3, find the values of x and y. So it's just what we did earlier. Match up sides that match up with sides. Don't just look at them. Go by the statement. Okay, and mark it from the statement. Then you can tell what's equal to what. Notice on number 4, this 13y minus 1 is the angle. It's pointing inside to the angle. Okay, same here. All right, and it wants you to find x, y, and z. I know that's not written very carefully, but z as well. Okay, find z. And down here, draw your 2 triangles, mark the information, like we did on the previous example. Same thing on 6. Okay, now as you get going through some of these, all right, if you have a question, email me or send me a message, and I can work one out with you or send you a picture. I have uploaded the key, so you can look at the key as well. All right, until next.